evening, everyone. Welcome here on Edge Custom Carry. We are talking to Mark Heeman tonight. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Eugene and Lenny. Pleased to be online with you.
We are so thankful that you make time to spend with us here online to give us some good tips in this very troublesome times. So yeah.
I hope I can give you some good ideas tonight.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for joining us. And those of you that's watching, you guys are welcome to leave comments and questions.
Yeah.
In the comments. Yeah, and thank you so much for joining us, Mark. And Mark, tell us more about yourself. Who is Mark Heeman?
Holy mackerel! I think I grew up in Pretoria, so I studied at Duckies as well. So you wouldn't guess it, but from a kid, started skipping the other arts, started doing all the martial arts and all those sort of things. Competed for many years, and by the time I'd finished school and military, I went overseas to Europe and the States. Had some fun, did the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world of that. And my studies, when I finished school, I went in and I studied sports sciences, directly into the military as a medic in those days. So not really a combative role, even though we did all the training and stuff like that, and the odd riot here and two. That was my first exposure to riots. But I was actually working mustered as a biokinetist, not a biokinetist in the civilian environment. And we used to do the pilots' ECGs and ride around and do all the medicals and stuff. From there, I went overseas, competing in different martial arts, represented South Africa a few times, and eventually ended up in the States, staying in Rhode Island. And strangely enough, I became a school teacher for a while.
Oh, my word.
While I was there, one of the teachers said, a year later, I was a head teacher at the school. And she said, they're not really paying you well, are they? She said, no. She says, my husband's looking for people that can fight. I said, what do you mean? And we need people to do repossession and collection. They call them account managers. So became an account manager and ended up doing 6 years of that before ending up back in South Africa in 98. And still involved, got into the medical industry, but always involved in the training, the firearms side. And that stage, we were particularly blade focused, and blade is still the core of what we do. We got back and the guy said, how do we work on weapon retention? And we didn't work it from a firearms perspective. We reverse engineered it from an edge weapons perspective. And that's kind of where we started back in South Africa, and eventually developed into Multidimensional Warriors. And out there having fun, got nice clients around the world, and getting exposed. The one thing that we still do, we're very lucky, is I get to work in the field with my clients. So it's not only teaching, but we're actually practically in the field. And from the riot point of view, my biggest exposure actually only happened last May. I ended up working for one of my clients who was doing was booked for training. We do their training. They're a very good client, and everything went dead with the lockdown. And he phoned me. He said, Mark, what are you doing now? I don't know. He said, do you want to work? So we started escorting the trucks when they were burning all the trucks there. So we did a good 4 or 5 months on that. And that was a good wake up from being out in training and starting to see the dynamics of a riot, if you want to call it the culture of a riot, and how it develops and how you can put it down early and how you can think about it. And when there's two of you behind a truck and there's a whole bunch of people burning tires and stuff, it's a different mindset. So a very professional company I worked with, but also from the training perspective, all the time taking notes, thinking of what we can do, always thinking about, geez, you learn lessons about your gear and the shotgun and all the rest of those sort of things. Yeah. At the same time, your family's at home and you're thinking, how do they protect themselves? Because we live in Capricorn and across the road's Vrygrond and right on the thing. So our family kind of had to start thinking about that a little bit while you're out. Yeah. So that's kind of where we got to on thinking about how to change gear and what actions can we take.
Okay, all right. Right, Mark, if you have to say, what is the 5 most essential items for your riot bag? So this is like you want to go and support the guys who is fighting this riot. What is the 5 most essential items you would take?
I know you're probably going to have a question later that's going to go be contrary to this, but the first thing is be armed. So have a gun, have lots of ammunition. That would be my first thing. And we'll talk about what happens if you don't have that a little later. But be armed and make sure you have sufficient ammunition and carrying that with you. So that's an important aspect. The second things I'd look at is you need to start thinking that you can get hurt out there as well. So a good med kit, I just have a few things. We'll talk about it. A good compression bandage, a tourniquet, whichever tourniquet brand you choose. I like, there's a few different ones I like. A tourniquet in there, gauze packing, and then particularly in riots, something for burns. So that would be pretty important there. And then simple things that people don't think of is things like a flashlight.
Yeah.
So flashlight's a very important tool on those sort of things. Keep a flashlight there. So you got your dressing, you got that, and then a secondary weapon. If I had to pick a secondary weapon, we'll talk about others when we say a little later, but a secondary weapon would be something like, let's see, a pocket knife. And what I suggest, if it's in your bag and not on your body, your lawyer will thank you later as well. Go get yourself a rescue knife to break windows, but it also doubles as a weapon and those sort of things. So a multi-purpose tool there. So those would be my primary things that I start looking at having in my bag while I'm traveling out. At home, just more of the same.
Yeah.
On those same categories, more of that. And then one thing that is very important, and I found this little one, I think I found it at Builder's Warehouse or wherever. You're going to realize the risk of fire in your vehicle and in your homes. When a petrol bomb came into the marina here, the guys did a really good job with fire hydrants, but having something like that, there was an instance where the first throw a rock against the window breaks, and not even totally broke, just penetrated, and then they throw a petrol bomb against the side, and it's amazing how that flame carries into the car. So those are the primary things I would think of keeping on me.
Yeah. If you think about, like, for example, the tourniquets now, like there's so much like cheap knockoffs on the market. So I think that is something. What brands do you recommend for the tourniquets so that the guys know when they buy, so that they just don't buy the first one off the shelf?
Yeah, or from Wish.
Yeah, my big thing is I'm kind of a caveman. So if you see something like this, you'll see these little stretchy ones over there. It's like the old shark bite ones. Right up to your. This is actually a training one. This one's called a critic compression thing. But what I always look at is ones that we've used in training before, so we know we can use it over and over. There's some very nice CAC tourniquets. There's high end, but I always look for something that at least has a CE and not a fake CE approval. Got the CE approval on there, so you know when you start working that little plastic bar's not going to break on the cross turn or something. So yes, look at brands, and it's always a budget thing. I mean, you can get a pair of scissors like this. I don't know, EDC gear. I think I got that one when I was in Poland over there. And this is probably like 250, 300 Rand for a pair of scissors. You can buy yourself a nice 30 Rand pair of scissors that'll do the same job. It's always nice to have the branded stuff. But the thing is, it must be functional, and you have to know it's not going to come apart on you. That applies to your compression dressings, particularly your tourniquets. You can't have a tourniquet come apart on you over there. And then things like scissors and those sort of things. But yeah, be careful. I'm not brand specific. I use a lot of them. But check the quality out, guys.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't order on Wish, because you may get a real good one or a real crap one.
Yeah. So there's a few guys saying hi, David, Mike, and Warren. Hi to you guys. Let us know who else is watching. And please post some questions for us. So our next question for you, Mark, is there are lots of guys who are waiting for their firearm licenses and they don't have a firearm at this moment, but they know they have to be prepared as possible.
Yes.
What should they have in their bag?
That is a really, really tough thing. But there are some tools out there. You've got to remember that there's no magic bullet on those sort of things. So one of the things, if you're looking at home defense, you can go get a nice, and I think they all got sold out a little while ago, something like a good Tipman paintball gun, powered up with the balls. But don't think people won't walk through that, especially in a crowd situation, but they do work very well. I look at something like a good pepper gas, LinkedIn over there. It's a nice space creator. And we always talk about stream, but in crowds, if you understand the wind, and particularly in Cape Town here, spraying a bit of fog out there can create a bit of space. So both stream and fog, depending on the situation. When I'm dealing with individuals or we're doing arrests, I like to think of the stream, but in crowd management, something that's just going to go there. But you have to be very careful on the wind, but it's a good tool. Tactical batons. Your ASP type patterns, there you go. I've got them all here because I just emptied my bag out. So fits in there, these sort of things, very nice to run on the lines. Again, that's the one you can go really high end. Your ASPs, your Monadnocks, all those sort of things. But there's some good middle of the range brands. This is one. I don't even know what it's called, but we won't worry about it. We found this about 7 years ago. It's about a 600 Rand item. It's not the 120 Rand baton, because we've had those. You hit the guy and it starts coming apart on you. And you're standing with like a little rubber in your hand over there. So again, something like a tactical baton is a really good job. And then there's some very nice products out there. We're working with a company at the moment called Burner, which is a projectile launcher. Very nice. You've got to understand in crowds, it's limited on capacity. So you've got 5 rounds and then you have to reload. The gas is going to have to be recharged after a period. But that's a very good get out of a space very quickly and duck. So those are nice tools.
Okay. Mark, you guys I've got a nifty little chest bag or chest pack, EDC bag.
Yeah.
Would you mind sharing that with us? And maybe the concept, where it came from.
This is our little EDC bag. We call it a badger bag. It slips over your shoulder. And the idea behind this was to not look very tactical when you're carrying around. It looks pretty much bigger on the screen, but it fits on your chest space. It gives you enough space. So in here, I'll show you how it's designed. I don't have all the gear in it. It's designed so we can set your stuff up with whatever configuration you want. So you can take that in there. I had it a little loose. I did a video the other day, a little loose, so it looked like you're drawing out there. But the tighter you have it, the nicer it sets in. Take your trigger holster. We set it through a little eyelet in the bottom there. You can set your gun up in that position. And it's designed to come from this position over here. And let me just shove this piece of plastic in here. There. And we set it up so we have really quick access to your weapons from that position and get on there. Now, over there, we've designed little pouches that go with that. Sticks in on Velcro, so you can pop your mags in there. This is a multi-pouch, so you can put a flashlight, baton, pepper gas, so you can set this up any way you want. My personal carry on this bag at the moment, I needed quick access. I'm carrying a lot of ammo. We're on call for jobs over there. And so my gun has come off my bag and onto my side. And this is my little bag at the moment. This is the original prototype on it. And basically I'm sitting with 10 mags on this bag here. And nice quick access to run on those lines. So it sits there. It's very comfortable because carrying those things on the side over here gets around there. And especially if you're doing, or if you're talking, not riots, you shouldn't be riding around on your bicycle in a riot. But if you're running or climbing over things and stuff like that, catch that. You need your stuff, open it up. There's your mags, get going. And from there, and if you fall or whatever, it gives you a very handy close on your body. I don't like weapons or ammunition to be off my body.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thought process. And the other thing with this bag is it's set up in such a way that you can carry your personal items like your ID, your wallet, linked to this, because you don't want that stuff. If you jump out of your car in a riot and next thing your ID or wallet's left there, you've lost a big chunk of what's necessary and going. So all your personal stuff and your weapons that you need at hand is a good space to fit into these bags. So designed to pull open, very quick access whichever way you're going, sits nice and tight, and then for the guys that are running and jumping and cycling, there's a securing band around it over here. And it's nice quality zips, and it was designed as a quick access. And an alternate access, there's guys that are going to say, well, why would you ever carry like that? Well, if you're out in the field all the time and you're climbing over stuff, you're not just a big fat guy that's sitting in your car watching, if that's your job in security. I'm sorry, guys. But that can sit there all day. But if you're moving around, this thing digs in you, it catches on stuff. And so it's a nice option, particularly if you're very active.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike Henning left a comment here for you. You said, love the back, Mark. Works excellent in the mountain bike.
There we go. And Mike, good to hear from you. Haven't seen you for a while. We'll have to get you back on training. I think Mike does all the survival work. I think he's got everything we've made so far, and he puts it to the test. He only tells me about the stuff he likes. I'm sure I've made some cut stuff that he. But good to hear from you, Mike. I'm glad it's working well.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of cyclists using it at the moment.
Yeah. So what are all the nice to haves? So you gathered the basics. What are the nice to haves to have in this bag?
Yeah, and it goes to how long is a piece of string. So nice. You can have pretty much anything in there. But I like to think of other things, sometimes a secondary flashlight. You can go as far as thinking there's a little charger. If you're out, you get stranded somewhere because something's gone down. Put a little charger in there. Obviously, this won't fit into your smaller bags, but nice to have in your vehicles. Pump your tires up. What do you call that? Emergency air. The little cans over there. And I even carry the old one where you can plug your vehicle. It's in the back of my vehicle. So in the back of my vehicle, and water as well. And linked to the medical, you think of something comes through your window and there's a bit of a flame or there's gas or smoke coming through. Water is quite a critical thing to have in your vehicle. Rinse your face off. And these cuck masks that we're supposed to be wearing all the time is actually a little benefit in that situation. So just so you can ventilate a little bit. So water, from there, one thing that I do think of in the medical is taking care of burns. And I did mention it a little bit earlier, but how big does your medical kit become? My first priority, and this is a necessity, and I think this necessity that sits just behind that is burns. If we had to prioritize and say what's important, and then behind that comes, geez, I got a headache. Do I have a little medical kit with that? So this one sits in my car, and I've got a whole bunch of nice to have space blankets, and I've even got nasopharyngeal airways and all those sort of things in there, so you can expand on that. Something you need to think about is in this temperature, getting stuck out there is keeping warm. So blankets or good jackets in those situations. And as South Africans, we realize our winter's only 3 months, so we don't think about it, but it's pretty easy to go hypothermic up there. So something that I do think is a nice idea. I mean, obviously you ride around with your regular glasses, but if you know you're going somewhere, carry clear, non-reflective things. So at night, if there's a rock or round coming through your window, anything, that glass in your face, if you get out, to protect your eyes is quite critical. So I just put that one next to my dash. I didn't realize until you asked me about it what a gear junkie I actually am. I thought I was just a caveman. I sit with those glasses. You're going to pop them on your face. Big difference if you get something in your eyes or something like that.
Yeah, that's something I didn't think of. That's a good thing. Okay, And David is asking, do you run courses? If so, what courses and when are you coming up to Johannesburg?
I'm going to be in Joburg next month. We run a very broad range of courses. We have very corporate or security focused courses, but our civilian focused courses, for example, my next course in Joburg, we'll see who arrives in the state of emergency. The last one we ran there a month ago, I'm pretty much there every month. We ran a shotgun course, just learning to run a shotgun. And you've just seen how important running a shotgun is in this situation, if you can find ammo. But we run all the loads. So everyone goes, I can shoot a shotgun. So we did that. But our courses, as far as what we run, we obviously run the close quarter stuff where we look at edge weapon work, start on that. And that's not where we started, depends where you are, but that's where we originally started out, thinking of edge weapon. And living in Cape Town, it's pretty important. So the guys enjoy stabbing more than shooting sometimes. So we'll run a course where we do an intro to edge weapons, understanding edge weapon attacks. Carrying a weapon, we have a program called Knife Proof Carry. So you're going to carry it. How do you access it? How do you think about it? How do you think about the legalities? And how do you take gross motor skills and put them into a fight? Then you link your firearms in there. We have a rusty gunman range. I'm really giving you a whole framework. That's all your handling skills, not just to shoot and pass a competency, but handling skills that are relevant in the street. So if you have to access that in your car, that you don't shoot your wife in the leg or yourself in the toe while you're accessing. A range safety is a very different thing. So we're very cognizant of range safety and we stick to it, but we also develop safety for out on the street and handling skills. So how do you run a gun? How do you clear stoppages? And when that's natural, we start looking at the tactical stuff like house penetration, which when you're a civilian, it's home defense. It's very different to house penetration. You're alone and you don't have a tactical team. Then we'll do fighting in and around vehicles. We run low light shoots. For some of the security companies, we do in a hostile vehicle takedown course a little bit. And neighborhood watchers are getting involved in that, whether they like it or not. Sometimes they're with the security company or police, so it's nice for them to have there. And one that, with what we've spoken about, we run a course called Fighting Injured, which is our plug and press, how to pack a wound, and then while you're in that situation, how do you keep your gun running if you do have an injury. So it's a pretty broad range of stuff, but very focused, and we've developed each one over the last 25 years. We've been working on them.
Sure.
So we got plenty courses. It doesn't help having a piece of gear if you don't know how to use it.
Yeah. Mike,
I think Eugene and sorry, I think Eugene and Lenny, if you get some of the requests on gear, I don't know what I don't want to know what you've heard, but sometimes you go, what is this guy doing? Because it's not related to training. Everything you do has to be functional in that situation. And a lot of things that aren't put to the test in the street. The first time that guy we get guys come on the range and he's got his whole rig, and by the end of that thing, he's thrown half his rig away and he needs a new holster. So relevant to whoever you've got holster. He's thrown his Focus away and his sticky holster, he put it down the range, has become a target. So you've got to train whatever gear you select, you've got to train with it.
Yeah. Mike Henning says you can't go wrong with any of Mark's training. So I think that's appropriate. And David says, where can we find out where and when you are going to do courses?
Okay, the easiest way right now, we have a webpage, Multidimensional Warriors.co.za. But if you go onto our Facebook events, I'm also Multidimensional Warriors. We'll see we post those up. Those are all our public ones that we run, but a lot of guys will get a group of 10 or 12 guys together. So we got one this next weekend. The guys are coming in on Sunday. We got a course on Saturday, John. We run the Rusty Gunman. John, who you met earlier, is going to be running that one. On Sunday, I've got a group of guys together. They said, listen, they want to run handgun handling skills and they want to think about working anti-hijacking around their vehicles. So they get 10 guys together. Those ones will not be published. So we only publish the ones that we fill up,
Yeah. Leo says Rusty Gunman was a great course and actually doing it for the second time on Saturday, and he can't wait. So yeah, he's going to see you there.
Who was that?
Leo Jordan.
Okay,
Lyle.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that'll
Des
be
Wellen
great.
says you're an excellent instructor, and he says, "How's it?"
Thank you very much. And
Yeah.
Neil, I think we are talking a little bit of gear here, and the key thing, when we run stuff, whatever you happen, if you are carrying a firearm, a modern firearm, the safety and carrying one up and all those sorts of things, the guys, I hear all the tactical arguments. I call them, I think I call them tactitards. If you see a picture out there, they see a picture of something, they'll go, "Oh, why is he doing that?" Or that from that picture, they know how to break down. Why is the guy stopped, not folded out? Why are they shooting with it? If you don't understand the context of the picture, it's kind of, I won't swear, keep quiet Friday. Just zip it up before you make an honor of yourself. But one thing you have to understand, the guy will say, "Well, when you carry your gun, do you carry one up or around in the chamber?" And I'll say, "Yes." And he'll say, "What do you mean?" And I'll say, "Well, if I have a decent holster, there's no way I'm carrying an empty chamber. I'm carrying around in the chamber, my holster and that firearm together are one, for safety. But if somebody comes to me and says, 'Yeah, take this old Beretta 92 and shove it in your pants,' I'm clearing that chamber because I'm not putting it in there. Those things together are a tool that make up the ability for you to run that gun like a modern gun should be run. And that applies to your medical supplies, that applies to your holsters, it applies to any piece of gear you have."
That's good.
Yeah, Mark, if you would give the guys out there one piece of advice, what would that be?
It's a very difficult one piece of advice. I think the biggest thing is you've got to communicate with the guys that live in your neighborhood and stuff, even if you hate your friggin' neighbor. Because right now, when someone comes down the road, you alone, even if you're reasonably or highly skilled, doesn't make a difference. If you need someone to watch an entrance, do that. You need to work together on those situations.
Yeah.
Really think about it and link to that. Find out and get the intelligence. Now, there's a lot of fake stuff going around there, but watch what's happening and then double check it. So intelligence and then working together. We've seen some very poorly trained neighbors out in front here, but that guy's out there to make a difference and use that, point the barrel in that direction. But he's there, and everyone can criticize or whatever. But that's what keeps everything at bay.
Yeah. Sure. That was quite very, very good advice, and we appreciate your time. I see there's no more questions. Or is there anything else you would like to share with the guys before we end this?
Guys, I think the most important thing, we did speak about that little bag. Very nice to get on there. It's just an added piece of gear that makes it comfortable to carry all your stuff. Very quick access. So look at your gear and minimize your gear. The more gear they have, the more stuff you have there. So keep your gear simple. Keep all your important stuff on you. Don't let your guns get away from you. Don't let your ammunition get away from you. And it's very hard. Next thing, you've got a big belt here and everything. So look at your gear, how to streamline it. And that's the thought process on gear.
Yeah. This year also say dry fire drills are important, I assume.
I 100% agree. Dry fire, I mean, the cost of ammo today, in the old days, how did we fix our shooting? We just shot it right. These days, we actually, just give you another mag, you'll skip a little straighter. Right now, dry fire is a critical skill. And today, we're on the range. I think I shot 50 rounds with AK, and we're on the range from 9 to 2:30. And everything was just dry fire. Setting up your grip. So whatever skill set you're working, you can do a lot with dry fire. And ammunition is scarce and expensive now.
Yeah. So David also says, thank you, Edge and Mark, for setting up this live stream and taking the time to share your knowledge with us. I really like the fact that you said it doesn't help having the gear if you don't train with it.
Exactly. They're two sides of the coin. And, you know, the old saying, all the gear and no idea. It's very true. You know, so if you get a piece of gear, familiarize yourself with it, work with it, and then you see if it actually suits your needs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eugene de Priya says, hi Mark, do you only do rusty gun or training for a new gun owner, and from what age?
Okay, normally if we take kids under 16, so it's not only for new people, it's rusty gunman, it's for a new guy. They came up with the term rusty gunman years ago because I had some very old, my dad's an old parabat and stuff, and we get some guys who I know in their day were real pipe hitters, but they would run rifles and stuff like that. And then he arrives on the range and he has an old Browning or stuff and it's waving everywhere, and you're kind of like, oh my goodness. And it doesn't take anything away from what he's done. That gun's been in the safe for 5 years, and you almost have to clean it before it gets working. So it's for that group of people. And then secondly, it's for people that are new to guns, make decisions. And we don't only link the shooting, we link some decision making into that, linked into the practical world. And then strangely enough, I get a group of, and who would ever think I'm linked to the sports shooting world, but I'm a great fan of good sports shooters. But I'll get those guys, and I keep saying to them, why do you come back on my rusty gunman course? I have one guy that comes every year, and he says, it's just a different approach of thinking from a concealed carry, as a street person, thinking of shooting down your arm like that, which you would never do in a match because someone would, your structure, you're slow or whatever, but your form follows function. So we actually get some very experienced guys coming on just to fill that little gap for them. But the focus is new people and people that are a little out of practice with it.
That's good. Yeah, we got some strange holster requests through the past week. So I thought, Eugene, it's typically that firearm that's been lying in the safe for many years that guys want to start carrying now. So yeah, that course will be good for them. Yeah.
No, excellent. And I'm not a person who thinks there's one solution to, even on a tactic. There's lots of, like I said, I used that example of, I saw on the military thing the other day, and the guy's going, why they got folded stocks? You can't shoot like that. Well, we've shot like that. It's not ideal, but why have you folded your stock? Because you crunched into a very tiny space. Why aren't you using your handgun? Because I don't have a handgun on me. And that was my issue rifle.
Yeah.
Is it ideal for good shooting? But if you don't make that adaptation, so a lot of the times the guy will say this or that, and I say both, and you have to know where it fits in on that framework of reference. And it's the same with here. Why would you carry appendix or side carry? Eugene and Lani, because you're in the market, do you know why I carry both? Because my chiropractor told me, how long have you been carrying on that front piece over there? So you sit in your car and I'm carrying, he says, change your holster carry position.
That's clever.
From a health perspective. So then the guy's going, why are you carrying on the side today? It's my back sore. It's not anymore. So sometimes there's little considerations like that where the guy who goes to the range and shoots, spends half an hour on the range or 3 hours on the range shooting, and then he takes his stuff and puts it away, will tell you how you should carry. And why is this a bad idea? Why is this a good idea?
Sure, yes.
Yeah. So Des also says everyone needs training. And Eugene de Priya asks, how young will you train?
Okay, so we'll take kids around in a regular group like that. We'll take them around 15, 16. We normally like that. Obviously, there's parent consent. I've had some 16-year-olds outshoot everybody. They don't have any bad habits there. And kids and women shoot better than us poor oaks because we don't listen to anything. They do this, they do it.
Yeah,
and,
they can see well.
Yeah, we had a kid on a shotgun course a little while ago. He was 14 years old, but I expect his dad there to be with him. And I think at the end of the day, he probably outshot everyone. and it's the first time he's touched a shotgun.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm pretty careful on kids, but that's a sensible way. Otherwise, we'll do a private, and it's more a gun experience than a tactical experience. And it's good to get your kids shooting very young, but me personally, I don't teach groups of kids at a time. I'll go in and Angela, the one lady, she phones me, she says, listen, my kid, he's just crazy about guns. He's 11 years old, get him shooting. So we teach him a grip and how to shoot and have some fun shoots with him. But that's not the norm on what our focus is. But the younger you get your kids shooting and it's well instructed, the better it is.
So Stephen asked, do you do intermediate type handgun courses?
Yes. So I'm gonna run through this. We ran a course on Saturday, which was just draw stroke and time from draw, and it seems like a silly thing, and trigger press and those sort of things. Those are all guys that have been training for a while in the field in security, and security, you can say it's really good or really bad. These guys are pretty good at what they do. They've been around a long time. They're not the slackers. They can shoot their competency left with their eyes closed. So competency is not a standard, if you put it that way. But that over there, the guys are going to say what's intermediate, what's advanced. And I think it's some of the American guys that have gone and they say, what's advanced shooting? And it's actually basics done better. So when I run an intermediate course, we'll run down there. But on the other side, you have tactics linked to that. So if you've done some good basic shooting, you're going to say, all right, what happens if someone tries to grab me? How do I keep my gun? I'm out at night. How do I add a flashlight to that? So you can say that becomes an intermediate skill by adding a tactic to it, because there's another dimension to shooting. Or you can start pushing the basics and really start pushing them and learn how to break them better. We spent the whole day Saturday just drawing in from holster, hitting a playing card at 7 meters from a 7-meter draw. I think our average was 1.5. And the guy started no speed, nothing. So that's a kind of an intermediate thing there. We're not pushing the limits or boundaries.
Okay.
So, but adding tactics also. Sorry, who asked that question?
Stephen,
that's a good question. Yeah. So if you're looking at just attributes, you want advanced attributes, it's basics done better. If you start adding tactics, then you start going down the other path. So yes. We don't normally let a guy come on a low light course or a clearing course. We're going to be running a course called 7-11, which was actually based on like the Kenya Mall attack. What if you're at the mall by yourself, and how do you as a person slow an attack down? Those guys really need their basics in place first. That's 5 days of hard shooting. And that we will take an intermediate or a mid-level shooter, and by the end of the week, we need moving headshots 15, 20 meters in between crowds. Now, we use the burners for force and force. We don't shoot rounds. We're not Russian. As much as we'd like to, we have to account for the bodies afterwards.
That's good. That's good. Okay, it doesn't look like there's any new questions. This says 711 was a great course.
Oh, that's our Des. Des got shot in the leg on that course, and he fell and he shot the one guy. I think he was running at about 17 meters. He got a headshot in, one-handed. So well done, Des.
Okay. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Mark. Thank you for your time and for joining us, and thank you for all the guys that tune in tonight to watch the live stream, and we'll try from our side to do more of these if the time permits. But thank you, everyone.
Thank
and
you.
I hope we added just a good framework on how to think about it. You can get very specific, but if you can have a framework, what's the situation? What do I have with me? And those were the questions you asked.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then knowing how to use it. I mean, even something like a fire hydrant, if you've got it in your car, it doesn't help if you've never checked how to use it.
Yeah. So all the gear, but know how to use it.
Yeah, get the idea.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mark. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Mark.
Guys, thank you, and very nice meeting you tonight, and good job. Thank you very much. Stay safe.
And stay safe.
Stay safe. Bye.
Goodbye.